The night markets of Vera 6 were never silent. Hollow signs shimmered in every color of the spectrum, throwing shifting rainbows over puddles that smelled faintly of iron and spice. The air was alive with whispers, traders haggling in 20 dialects, drones humming above, steam rising from cracked grills. Every corner pulsed with life and hunger. Jonas Reddick moved through it like a ghost. He'd run the Ember Bowl for almost 4 years now, serving soups and fried synthfish to dockhands and miners. Once long ago, he'd been a soldier, one of the few humans stationed during the War of Glass Moons. Now he was just a cook with grease on his sleeves and too many memories that refused to fade. It began as nothing. A missing roll, a bowl gone cold that he swore he'd placed on the counter, a bite taken out of a cooling loaf. He'd blamed the rats or the wind or his own exhaustion until the 10th night, when the pattern became impossible to ignore. That evening, he stayed late. The market's crowds thinned. Rain fell in silver lines drumming against metal awnings. Jonas leaned on the counter, pretending to tally credits, waiting. Then he heard it, a faint scrape, the soft clink of a pan. He turned sharply. "Don't move!" A small shadow froze in the half-light, caught mid-reach. Under the violet glow of the sign above his stall, he saw her, thin, cloaked, trembling. She couldn't have been older than 17. The hood slipped back just enough for him to see pale, translucent skin marked with faint bioluminescent veins. Her hair shimmered green under the rain, and her eyes, far too wide, far too bright, locked on his in panic, an alien girl. He could see her breathing fast, clutching a stolen roll of bread. I didn't mean," she stammered. Jonas sighed. "You've been stealing from me. For a week now." She bit her lip. "I'll give it back." "Please don't call the wardens." He studied her for a long moment. The wardens didn't care much for mercy, especially not toward the Veyron half-born, children left behind by the old war. He noticed how soaked she was, her hands shaking. "Sit down," he said quietly. "What?" "You're freezing." "Sit." She hesitated, but something in his voice wasn't anger, only weariness. Slowly she obeyed. Jonas ladled out a bowl of broth, steaming and fragrant, and slid it toward her. "Drink." She took it in both hands like it was sacred, sipping carefully. He leaned on the counter. "What's your name?" "Lyra," she whispered. "Lyra Wren. Why steal from me, Lyra Wren? There are stalls that wouldn't even notice." "Because—" She hesitated, then met his eyes. "Because you still cook. Real food, not ration paste. You make it smell like home." Jonas blinked. He hadn't expected that. "You've got a good nose," he said dryly. "It's old earth spice. My mother used to—" He stopped himself. The ache hit too suddenly. Lyra set the bowl down. "It's not for me," she said softly. "My brother's sick. He can't walk. I bring him what I can." The truth was written all over her. The hollow cheeks, the exhaustion. Jonas rubbed the back of his neck, exhaling slowly. Then he reached under the counter and packed a small container of stew, 2 rolls, and a bottle of clean water. "Take this," he said. She froze. "Why?" "Because you'll steal it anyway," he said simply. "And I'd rather you had it warm." She blinked, then smiled, the faintest curve of her lips. "You're strange for a human. I get that a lot." For the next several nights she returned, not to steal, but to ask. Jonas always pretended to grumble, but the portions he set aside grew larger. Between the hum of the rain and the hiss of the stoves, she'd tell him bits of her story. Her father had fought in the same war. He'd never come home. "Maybe he knew you," she said once, her eyes glinting like glass in the lantern light. "Maybe," Jonas replied. But he didn't tell her how many faces he'd seen fade under that same sky. Then one night, she didn't come. The first evening, he brushed it off. The second, unease crept in. By the third, he couldn't stand it. He packed food, medicine, and a light and went looking. The lower sectors of Vera 6 were a maze of shadows. He followed the faint hum of energy lines until he found a half-collapsed habitat dome. Inside, Lyra knelt beside a cot. A boy lay there, his skin dull, breathing shallow. "You shouldn't have come," she said weakly. "You should have asked," he replied. Jonas checked the boy's pulse, felt the heat radiating off him. Infection. Without thinking, he pulled his old medkit from his bag, an artifact from another life, and began working. Lyra watched, her eyes full of fear and hope all at once. When the injection was done and the boy's breathing steadied, she whispered, "Why help us?" "Humans don't what?" Jonas said softly. "Care? Maybe that's why I do." Her gaze broke, tears mixing with the rain leaking through the dome roof. "Thank you," she breathed. Days turned to weeks. The boy recovered. Jonas kept coming, bringing food and light and stories of Earth's oceans she'd never seen. Lyra laughed more easily now, though she still teased him for being too serious. Sometimes her brother joined them, shy and smiling. The markets changed too. Rumors spread about a human cook who fed alien orphans. Some called him reckless. Others began helping. The Ember Bowl became a place where species shared tables again, something rare and fragile. But peace never lasted. One night, 2 security drones descended on the stall. "You've been aiding unregistered citizens," a metallic voice warned. "Penalty, immediate detainment." Before Jonas could speak, Lyra burst from the crowd. "It's not his fault, please." The drone turned its lens toward her. "Unauthorized entity. Step back." The crowd stirred. Voices rose, humans and Varens alike. For the first time in years, they stood together, shouting the same word. Enough. The drones hesitated, then pulled back, overwhelmed by the noise. When it was over, Lyra clung to Jonas, shaking. "You could have let me go," he smiled faintly. "I think I've had enough of letting people go." Weeks later, the dome where they'd lived was gone, replaced by a rebuilt shelter funded by the market itself. Lyra worked beside Jonas now, her laughter ringing like wind chimes. Her brother drew pictures on scrap paper, stars, ships, food. And one night, when Jonas locked up, he found one folded note left by the counter. A child's writing, careful and uneven. "Thank you for feeding us when no one else did. You showed us what family feels like." Below it, a drawing. 2 hands, one human, one glowing faintly blue, holding a steaming bowl together. Jonas smiled, tucking it into his apron. Outside, the neon rain fell soft and bright, washing the streets clean again. And somewhere deep in his chest, something that had long been silent began to heal.